Hey, I'm Nick Boy, and welcome to Pocket. Well, years of alcohol abuse took their toll on Dumbo, because now he's Tembo, the rampaging murder elephant. Tembo the Badass Elephant is the latest game from Game Freak, them of Pokemon fame, and also from Sega, them of my crushed childhood dreams fame. Now, I had no idea this game existed last week. This week, I do know it exists, and I think I'm a little better for it. The basic premise of the game is that the US Army needs you, because you're an elephant, and for some reason, that is going to win them this war. You're basically like Elephant Rambo. You're like Operation Dumbo Drop, but Rambo. The game is heavily influenced by Sonic and Donkey Kong. It's a 2D side-scrolling platformer. There's lots of spinning. I don't know how an elephant spins, but he does. There's lots of jumping. There's lots of going between two different planes of sort of gameplay. It's pretty fast, but it's not as fast as Sonic, and the controls are clunky-ish at the beginning, but then you get used to it. Tembo doesn't move as freely as you want him to, but I guess that's okay because he's an elephant and we should be thankful he's doing anything to help the war effort. The game is also incredibly hard from the get-go. Actually, that's not true. The tutorial is rather easy, and then the first level is insanely hard, and it kind of just stays that way. I think that's a good thing. It's one of those games that goes, this game exists because we know you like platformers and you've played a bunch of them. So this probably isn't baby's first platformer. This is probably daddy's last platformer. This could be the game that kills me. And the old school influences don't stop with the fact that it's just pretty hard. Every level you get 5 lives at the beginning in order to beat it. And that's fine, except the levels are like 14 minutes long the first time you play them. Once you play them a few times, you can get it down to about 10, but 5 lives is not a huge amount given the sort of difficulty curve throughout. You get more lives by collecting peanuts, which are scattered through all the level. They're kind of like the bananas in Donkey Kong. You collect 300 peanuts, and then Tembo somehow crushes that down into peanut butter, and peanut butter is what makes him strong again. He's like Popeye, but he's an elephant. And you're gonna need to collect those peanuts to get those lives, because there are 2 kinds of combat here. There's rolling over guys and mini bosses. There's sort of like you just attack them and roll and spin or jump down on them and that sort of thing. That combat is relatively easy. The real combat here is against the levels themselves. The platforming can get kind of tricky, and again, that's where Tempo's sort of heaviness and clunkiness comes into it, that when he lands, he doesn't turn around quite as quickly as I want him to, so that then I can jump on somewhere else. But he does have a very adorable little, you jump and you hold down the jump button and his little legs go like that and he's just getting over the edge. He's like a sparrow, but an elephant. One of the real joys of the game is the look and the animations and stuff. In still shots, it kind of looks fine, but when Tembo starts moving and you start going through the environments, everything's animated really well. It's kind of unashamedly a game. When he runs fast, it says like bada 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 bada, and the text sort of floats up on screen. The little people, the civilians that you rescue, they're holding onto his back, and when you jump, their little legs flail in the air and stuff. It's all really cute, and I guess that's no surprise. Game Freak have spent their entire career pretty much making cute little animals, but making like 4,000 of them, and for some reason they turn into different versions that don't quite make sense. And it doesn't stop there. The level design in this game I absolutely adore, both the look and the gameplay. I thought it would be one of those games like Sonic or Mario or Donkey Kong where you have a world and within there are several levels there. So you start off in a city, and I was like, okay, so this will be, the first level will be the city, and then the next level will be the next part of the city, and so on and so on. But because the levels are quite long, sort of 10 to 15 minutes each, you do the city and then you just move on to a completely different environment. And there's about 15 levels in the game, and each one is totally different, and they have their own unique gameplay elements, and they all look gorgeous. Like there's a weird car crushing factory, and then you're in green rolling hills, and then you're underground in some weird nightmare bunker, and then you're in a city, and then everything's on fire. And I don't know what the third half of the peanut level map thing is, but I'm looking forward to getting there. And to get there, you need to kill a certain amount of enemy soldiers. So every level has a few hundred soldiers that you kind of need to just stamp on, and when you get the required amount, then it unlocks sort of the next level section. This isn't a problem so far, but it does kind of have that old school vibe where if you don't get enough of these guys, then you're going to get to a level and you're not going to be able to progress, and you are going to have to go back and try to find all of those soldiers and collect them, which is fine, I guess, because the game is really fun, but it is frustrating to go, I need to play a sort of 10-minute level again that's really hard, just so that I can move on to a level that I haven't played yet. So that's a bit frustrating. The same thing, every level has 10 civilians that you can rescue. And it's really satisfying getting them all because they're all riding on his back and they just accumulate as you go. But to get them, you need to find them in the levels. And the level design sort of, often will split apart and you'll go, this is the path that you need to take to get to the end of the level, but then you can go up here and get a civilian. But you're not clear which way is which, so if you don't know that you need to go up there and you just go straight ahead, you will have missed that civilian because often there's no way to turn around and come back. There's been a bunch of times while I've been playing where I've got to sort of like split path and I go, I don't know which one to take. I'll just take this one, and then I take it and I just see that the levels continue and I'm just like, crap. Now there's just some guy up there trapped in a tank who's never gonna know the joy of riding on my back. So that's frustrating because then you need to finish the level and then go back and play the whole thing again. And you need to collect them all in one run. You can't just do it separately. Then if you run past a checkpoint and you die, then you need to go back and collect all the ones that you did collect before that checkpoint because it doesn't sort of like persist. The game doesn't recognize that I collected them in the first place. It's really frustrating now that I say it out loud. But these are relatively minor complaints because, like all platformers, even though you are playing the same levels over and over again, the joy there is actually knowing that level like the back of your hand and basically being able to speedrun it as much as you can on an elephant. The game is out on PS4, Xbox One, and on PC. Now they're all in varying levels of working. The PC version barely works in that the executable wasn't there when people downloaded it, and then it's called something different. It barely boot up, you can't change the resolution, it's a bit of a mess. I played on the Xbox One version and I did find some bugs. The most annoying one was I was collecting civilians in the level and one guy I unlocked and then he wouldn't jump on my back, and no matter what, he just stayed on the ground. Was it the first guy? No, it wasn't. It was the last guy. So I'd gone through the level the whole way through and he didn't jump on. How many times did I do this? Was it once? No, it was 3 times until I restarted the game and then it seemed to work fine. The other weird thing on the Xbox is the initial loading screen. When you start the game, your television is going to go black and there's just going to be the little loading thing down the bottom. It's going to stay there for literally about a minute. It happened for so long that I quit the app because I thought my Xbox had frozen. Your Xbox One is not frozen, it is just loading the whole game, and probably The Witcher 3 as well. I haven't played the PS4 version, I assume it runs perfectly and cleans your kitchen. But despite all of that, Tembo is a blast, and I really am enjoying playing this game. That's it for today's episode of Pocket. Nick Boy out. Oh, but Tembo the Badass Elephant is a terrible name for a game. What was wrong with, like, Rambofund? Did you think of Rambofund? Pokemon people. He's like a sparrow, but an elephant.